This podcast is brought to you by Self Wealth, Australia's only fixed-fee brokerage solution. Pay just $9.50 per trade regardless of size and save up to 70% on brokerage fees. Visit selfwealth.com.au and click online trading.
Nice to have the innovational nutritionist Sarah Di Lorenzo in the studio with us for Friday. Hello, Sarah.
Hi, Ed.
You might like to hang around for this. We're going to have these high-protein bugs, crickets, ants, that sort of thing a little bit later. Like good protein, right?
Yeah, I'd love to, absolutely.
You want to just watch? You want to eat some?
No, I'll try some. Of course I would.
Good for you. All right. Now, we've spoken Fridays in times gone by about various ways to shed weight, kickstart your metabolism, ease our digestive system. We've looked at extended fasting. We've looked at, cycles of 5 and 2 day diets and so on. I want to talk today about the ketogenic diet, or I guess it's the low carb, high-fat diet, which has been getting a fair bit of attention recently. Certainly celebrities are espousing how good it is. Some of the popular gym franchises promote it as well.
Yeah.
So what's the advantage? Well, let's explain what ketosis is, I guess, first up in the body.
Okay, so ketosis is basically where your fuel source is actually fat. So your own stored fat. So what actually happens in ketosis is the body takes fat in and to the liver, and the liver actually changes it into ketones. And those ketones are released into the body, into the system, and they're used as an energy source. So to get into ketosis takes about anywhere between 2 to 4 days, roughly. And it is actually the preferred fuel source for the brain and the heart. There's a lot of benefits with it.
So ordinarily, if we have a high-calorie snack, the brain or the body will say, let's just harness the energy from that.
Absolutely.
And you keep churning through that rather than shifting some of your long-held supplies of body fat.
No, and that's exactly what happens. The easier fuel source for the body obviously is glucose. But to get into ketosis, it does take the body a little bit of time to work into it. But it is worth it. The benefits are huge. I mean, I've been in a ketogenic diet probably since I was about 38, and that came off the back of one of the great benefits of a ketogenic diet from other things like weight loss, and one of the great things is it actually cancer. When I had melanoma when I was 38, I went on a ketogenic diet because cancer cells actually have 10 times more insulin receptor points than a regular cell. So they actually gorge on glucose. So if you remove glucose from your diet, you end up starving off cancer cells, and so that's one of many great benefits.
That is fascinating.
It's really interesting, the whole cancer process. I did study a lot of it, and I find it fascinating. I think there is types of ketosis. There's the classic ketosis we can talk about, and there's a moderate ketosis. The classic one is that very, very, very hardcore ketosis where you basically have, the ratio is like 4-1, and you basically will have 92% of your diet is from fats, of course, good fats. Approximately 1% would be from 1% comes from carbohydrate, and 7% will come from protein. So that's the very intense ketogenic diet.
Gotcha. What an insidious disease cancer is. So you're saying when you have cancerous cells in your body, it's got a higher number of receptors.
10 times more insulin receptor points than a regular cell. And the thing about the nasty cancer cell, Ed, is actually it can't utilize any fuel source other than glucose. So therefore, if you reduce glucose from your diet, and it's proven in many studies, people with a higher intake of glucose don't do as well with the cancer prognosis.
Yeah, okay, interesting. That's fascinating stuff. All right, I know as a bit of a weekend warrior, when we're training, you want your body to kind of feed off the fuel of your stored fat. So if you're having some quick, high-energy things, that's probably going to upset. But if you do longer, slower exercise, say a nice steady bike ride or just like the lightest of jogs breaking out of a walk, you can kind of train yourself to use your fat-burning stores. Is that...
To use your fat, but definitely, but that has to be done on an empty stomach. So you have to start that if you want to use that. And one of the many ways to get yourself into ketosis is actually to do and create ketones is to do exercise on an empty tummy.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay. How do you know if you're in ketosis, by the way?
Okay. This isn't going to really sell ketosis to anyone. But for all the listeners out there, it's only temporary. But we've all heard of anyone who knows about ketosis understands that you do get a a certain breath, and it's because of one of the ketones, which is acetone, and that actually makes you have a kind of a fruity smelling breath. So that's one sign.
That's not so bad.
Okay, no, and then there's...
wait.
Wait, there's more. Then we go on to... Okay, so the next one would be you do get a bit of constipation because you're on a high-fat diet, low fibre, so there's that side effect, as well as you can test yourself with keto sticks, which is a urine test, of course, blood samples, which is good. The first signs of ketosis when you know you're getting into it, and I see this in my clinic all the time, and I don't preempt anyone of it, but you get what's called the keto flu, and that's you actually are highly irritable, and you're quite depleted of energy and concentration. But then that passes after about day 4. That passes, and your energy becomes increased. The other thing is a little bit of insomnia as well in the very beginning. When you're changing those pathways, you really are making your body work harder. And for a lot of people, when you've had that Western diet or you've had a lot of glucose in your diet, just to retrain that and that metabolic pathway is completely something that's very foreign to the body, upsets the body. And another thing is when people do happen to get the keto flu is those symptoms are things like, well, of course, irritability, dizzy, moodiness, headache, and just feeling slightly dizzy.
And have you noticed some people stay irritable for like 6-7 years? No? Okay, just checking.
Why am I laughing at that?
I don't know. Just throwing it out there. Okay, so a tough one to market. Now, how long do you want to maintain this ketosis state for? You say it's around 2 to 4 days to kind of slip into it.
Yes. Okay, so for me, this is my personal take on the whole on ketosis. That intense ketosis, which is called the classic ketosis, I recommend that's where you're having purely fats, right? You're having sardines, you're having anchovies, coconut oil, butter, macadamias, tahini, cocoa butter, eggs, coconut cream, medium chain triglyceride oils. That's that really full-on in classic ketogenic diet. I really only recommend that, and that was what I was saying, the 92%. That's the 4-to-1. I only really recommend that for about 7 days personally. As a clinical nutritionist, it actually semi-kills me to think that people aren't having fruit, as much fruit, because a ketogenic diet, you have to look at what is actually got fruits that have low carbohydrate. So for all the listeners out there, a really easy way to understand what fruit and what vegetables have carbohydrates in them, if you want to remove them to start to get into a ketogenic diet, I just say to them it's really easy to break it up into colours. So all the vegetables that are green, they're the ones that you can have on if you want to go into ketosis. They're the ones that are high fibre, low carb. And all the vegetables that are basically bright colours, oranges and yellows, corn, pumpkin, sweet potato, carrots, they're higher in carbohydrate. And it's similar to fruit. So with fruit, you want to lean more towards berries and less towards other fruit like watermelon and mangoes and things like that.
Gotcha. How do you wind up with fruity breath when you've been eating sardines all week? That's fascinating.
It's from the ketone. It's from acetone.
All right. Yeah. Any dangers of trying this ketosis diet or being in that state of ketosis for more than a week or so?
I think the only dangers is you go into what's called ketoacidosis. Only people with type 1 diabetes. Outside of that, I think it's safe. I do recommend for anyone who wants to change into a ketogenic state to see a healthcare professional and do it properly at that beginning stage and get educated about it. The one in my program, my program's ketogenic, but it's a medium ketosis, and that's the way I've been living since my cancer diagnosis when I was 38. And that's where you operate on a 75% fat, but all good fats, and then you're moving in about 15 to 20% of protein, and then the rest in carbs.
Okay, so during that week or so that you're going to give this a go, what about exercise levels?
It depends. I think it depends on the individuals, but everyone needs to exercise. Ketosis is using high-fat foods, so you will have a lot of energy. It's nut butters. It's all those things which have got a lot of high energy. Exercise is really important. My guideline for exercise for anyone, if you're a regular exerciser, you will be fine to continue with your normal regime. If you're new to it, I do recommend exercise first thing in the morning just to get the ketones going, 40 minutes 4 times a week. And if you haven't done any exercise at all, my recommendation is just go out your front door, go 20 minutes in one direction, turn around, come back, and just make sure you're panting.
My gauge of whether a diet is sustainable, one of these things, is whether you're allowed to have coffee with it.
Coffee. Of course you can. And the big thing with ketosis is those coffee where you put the medium chain triglyceride, which of course is the most preferred fat for ketosis, is coconut oil. So if you want to be on ketosis, you're going to cook with coconut oil, but you put that or butter in your coffee. It's that bullet coffee. Have you heard about that?
I have, but it doesn't really appeal.
Yeah, no, coffee's fine, but you can throw a bit of coconut oil in there.
Now, I've got to mention, on your website, on sdlmethod.com, you do a 10-week program for weight loss for life. That's ketogenic.
Yes,
most of it. Doing 10 weeks of ketosis?
It's the basic primary principle of my program is a combination, as we know, of ketosis and intermittent fasting. And it's the medium range ketosis. So it's not the high end classic ketosis, and it goes throughout 8 of the 10 weeks, because there is a 2-week mini detox in the middle of it.
Alrighty.
Yes.
Yeah, good stuff. And coffee's still in there. So,
but
definitely. With butter. Go figure. Hey, for any of our listeners who'd like to purchase your Weight Loss for Life program, I know you work out of beautiful Sydney in the Bondi region, but this can be done online as well around the country to all our listeners.
Yes.
Got a special offer, I heard, Sarah Di Lorenzo.
I do. So they can put into a code at the checkout in capitals SDL18, and they will get 30% off my program for all the listeners out there who want to try ketosis.
Now, I love passwords. What's SDL18 mean? Anything?
Well, no, just Sarah Di Lorenzo, SDL Method. That's my business brand.
What's 18?
2018.
Lucky number. Oh,
no,
okay, gotcha.
2018.
2018, all right. SDLmethod.com. Don't forget the code SDL18. What are you doing? 30% off the program?
30% off for everyone today. I want to introduce people to ketosis because you know what, Ed? I think it's fantastic. You get so much energy off it. You get vitality. You lower you improve cognitive function. You reduce inflammation. You reduce cravings. You feel full all the time. And I mean, I live that way primarily. And the other great thing is, you've just got a lot of brain power.
Yeah, great. It's like the prices on ketosis. It's just shedding numbers as it goes.
I think it's just... Yes, it is.
Beautiful. Hey, we're done. Thank you. Lovely to see you Fridays,
so much for having
always.
Me. Yes.
And pursuing better health with us. We love having you across our Friday
Love coming
afternoons.
here. It's my highlight of my week.